Hi, my name is Stephanie. I'm an obedience and a behavior specialist and the owner of Praise Dog Training. We welcome you to our video series on behavior training. In this video, we will be showing you how to housebreak your dog using his natural instincts. Using our positive approach, your dog will be housebroken in no time. You are going to be learning a great deal of information in a short period of time, so we highly recommend viewing this video at least 2 times. Along with the video, you received a worksheet to help you remember the key points and personalize your housebreaking program. So please have these available to look at as you watch the video. Let's get started. During the video, we will be discussing the use of several types of training tools. So let's familiarize you with the types of equipment we will be using. The crate comes in different sizes and colors. For practical purposes, we will be using the large crate with the divider panel. The divider panel adjusts the interior of the crate. Another piece of equipment is the exercise pen, sometimes called the puppy pen. The puppy pen comes in different heights, adjusts, and can accommodate even the largest dogs. The pen we will be using comes with a gate in one of the panels. You will also be seeing the use of a halter and a leash. Have you ever heard that a dog is a den animal? It is important to understand a dog's natural instinct to be a den animal. In the wild, dogs are naturally housebroken. Dogs will instinctively keep their den clean. A den is any confined area where a dog sleeps, and a den is small, usually just the size of the dog's body. By gradually increasing the size of the area, we will be able to teach your dog that your whole house is his den. So instinctively, he will wait to go to the bathroom until he's outside. There are 2 parts to a housebreaking program: the preventative part used during the day and the instinctive part used at night. Let's start with what you will do during the day, the preventative part. Most importantly, you will remove all freedom in the house, so he will not be able to move more than 3 to 4 feet away from you, much less to another room. This way you will prevent your dog from making a mistake. To do this, you will have 3 choices. You may change your choice at any time based upon your day-to-day activities. Here are your 3 choices. First choice, your dog is outside. If your dog is outside, he can't go to the bathroom in your house. Second, your dog is inside, on a leash, either tied to something or you're holding the leash. And third, your dog is inside and confined to a small area. This is a good time to use either the pen or the crate. The best thing you can choose is to have your dog outside if you are away from the house for longer than 4 hours. This way he can run around and play and feel free to go to the bathroom whenever he wants. If you have a very small puppy and you are concerned about leaving him alone outside, then put up a pen to provide a place where he will be safe, or use both the pen and the crate together. Here is a wonderful use of a pen being used to housebreak your dog while you're away from the house. With the door open or the use of a dog door, place the pen against the opening. Your dog will use the pen to sleep in, but be able to relieve himself by stepping outside. Instead of the pen, you may use the crate. I would encourage you to utilize a dog door if you choose to use the crate. If you cannot do that and you have to confine your dog to the house for some reason, he should not be confined for more than 4 to 6 hours before being let out again. Now the next portion of the preventative training program deals with when you feed your dog and how much. When it comes to a feeding program, opinions differ. I have found a good feeding schedule to follow for housebreaking is 8 to 12 weeks, feed 3 times a day. 13 weeks to 8 to 10 months, feed twice a day. And 8 to 10 months and older, feed once a day. Leave the dog's food down for no more than 15 minutes, regardless of whether the dog has eaten it all or not. Make sure the last feeding is given no less than 5 to 6 hours before bedtime so your dog can empty his system out. For example, if you go to bed at 11 p.m., it would be best to feed your dog no later than 5 p.m. Dog foods that have chicken or lamb as a first and second ingredient are best. Try and find a dog food without any corn products in the ingredients. This will make for smaller stool and increased control. Water should be available for your dog all day. Just make sure you remove it 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. And remember, when your dog is outside for his last romp and to go to the bathroom at the end of the day, make sure he cannot get to any water source such as a pool or plant water. If you have to, take him out on a leash. And to teach your dog to go to the bathroom on command, choose a phrase such as, "Go to the bathroom," or "Do your business." It's your choice. Keep repeating this phrase over and over until your dog goes to the bathroom. As he's finished, in an excited voice, praise him and you can give him a treat as you are heading back inside the house. Now we're ready to go on to the nighttime portion of the housebreaking program. The nighttime portion is when we utilize the dog's natural instincts. This is my favorite part because we get to sleep while the dog is being house trained. But first, there are a couple of choices you have to make while housebreaking your dog at night. Keep in mind the equipment described earlier. One choice is to use a pen. The reason I like using a pen is because you can easily adjust the size of the area and it prevents things from being chewed. The second choice is to use a halter and a leash. This is less expensive but still effective. Here is an example of how you would use this method. Using the hinge of a door is the safest way to secure your dog during this time. It ensures that the dog will not move beyond the space intended, and the leash cannot become wrapped around an object, such as the leg of a chair or a table. The crate may be used instead of a pen or a halter. However, just be aware that you may not be able to adjust the size for the dog. It is extremely important to remember that a dog's den is no bigger than the size of his body. All we want the dog to be able to do is to lie down or stand up. There is no space for him to be able to move around. You will need to keep the space this small for 3 nights. Your dog must have 3 successful nights in a row, in other words, not going to the bathroom in the house before moving to the next stage. Once your dog has gotten the concept down that this is his den, you will increase the size of the space or the length of the leash on the 4th night. If successful on the 5th night, make the space bigger. The 6th night, even bigger. When choosing your dog's initial sleeping area, it is recommended you choose a spot with no carpeting. If the first night your dog makes a mistake, it is easier to clean up. You should also choose a spot close to the door you plan to move him out in the morning. Your dog should not be confined for more than 7 to 8 hours the first night. If your dog barks to be released, use a spray bottle with a strong stream spray to let him know that that behavior is unacceptable. At this point, can you see how using your dog's natural instinct as a den animal is showing him that your whole house is his den? Well, now it's time to move on to our next stage. Even though your dog is housebroken for that portion of the house, it does not mean he's housebroken for this portion of the house. You will start the process all over again in another part of the house. It is now all right to choose a carpeted area. Starting with a small space for the first few nights, increase the size of the space every night thereafter until you are either at the end of the leash or the pen is as large as it can be. Then move the dog to another area of the house again. At this point, your dog should have the concept down pat, and you only have to keep your dog in each new area for approximately 3 nights. With the pen, small, medium, and large. With the leash, short, long, and longest. Continue doing this until you have exposed your dog to every room in the house. If you are using a crate for your dog to sleep in at night, move the crate from room to room, or use the divider in the middle of the crate, moving it back, and then when you reach the full space of the crate, then move it from room to room. After doing this for 4 or 5 different locations, test your dog by placing them in a room with the door shut. Remember, they could still be in the chewing stage of their development, so make sure they cannot chew anything when they should be sleeping. Now it's time to review. Make sure to mark your choices in the blanks on your worksheet. Preventative is daytime. You have 3 choices and you can change any time. Your dog is outside, inside on a leash held or tied, or inside confined, and remember this changes. Your feeding schedule, you choose 1, 2, or 3 times a day. Leave down for no more than 15 minutes. Give last feeding no later than 5 to 6 hours before bedtime. Leave the water down all day. Just make sure you remove it 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. Give only a few snacks throughout the day, no bigger than a dime. The training is nighttime. You must take out immediately in the morning before anything else. and say over and over whichever command you choose. If possible, the second your dog goes, give a treat and bring indoors as soon as possible. First, second, and third night you're going to make small, and then you're going to increase every night thereafter until you have covered the entire house. Just remember how your dog thinks, and it's as simple as that.
What if my dog makes a mistake on the first night?
Well, you need to ask yourself several questions. Did my dog eat or drink too late in the day? Did I make sure that my dog went to the bathroom outside before going to bed? Or did I make the space even small enough? Sometimes it takes a couple of days for your dog to adjust to the new routine. Sometimes you might even decrease the hours that your dog is sleeping for the first few nights.
What if I do all that and my dog still makes a mistake?
Then definitely decrease the hours that your dog is confined.
What if the first few nights my dog is fine, but when I increase the size, then he makes a mistake?
That's common. What you're going to need to do is just decrease the size back to where he had done everything right. After a few nights, increase it. If you have moved the dog to a new location, then just make that spot a little bit smaller for a few nights till he gets used to it.
What if my puppy makes a mistake in the house during the day? Should I punish him?
No, blame yourself for that one. Remember, a dog does not learn through correction, he learns through his natural instinct. So what you need to do is clean the spot up where he went, add a few more nights onto the housebreaking program, have him sleep on that spot for a few nights to discourage him from returning.
So when do I take my dog out?
Well, once you're sure that your dog has relieved himself outside, you can bring him inside for approximately 4 to 6 hours. A dog 8 months or older, you can bring in as long as 5 to 8 hours. If you're not sure your dog has relieved himself outside, then take him out approximately every 15 minutes until you're sure that he has gone.
Can I leave my dog out all day and just use the nighttime portion of the housebreaking program?
Yes, in fact, that would be preferred if you're away from the house for long periods of time, your work, or have a very busy schedule.
What if I don't want my dog to sleep in the house?
You can still housebreak your dog. It may just take you a couple of months for your dog to understand that your house is his den. Just make sure you follow the preventative daytime schedule.
What about paper training? Shouldn't I start with that?
No, remember how a dog thinks? A dog is not naturally paper trained. Regardless of if he goes on paper or not, he's still going in his den. It will only remove the concept that your house is his den.
What if my dog is too big for a puppy pen?
Well, if you have a large puppy or an older dog, I recommend using a crate. It may not expand, but the general idea is still being reinforced. You can choose to use a crate or a halter or a combination of both.
I was told that crate training was enough.
Well, crate training uses the same concept of the dog's natural instinct to be a den animal. It confines the dog to a small area. If you choose to just use a crate to train your dog at night, that is fine. But eventually you will still want your dog to sleep outside of the crate for him to understand that the rest of his house is his den. Utilize the daytime preventative training spoken of earlier in the video, and many times this is all you will need. It is your choice whether to use the crate, the pen, or the halter. It is all the same concept, and many people use all three.
What if my dog is perfect in the crate, but pees on the carpet?
Well, I would emphasize the preventative day schedule as well as a little trick that I've learned. Remove the bottom portion of the crate, the pan. This will give your dog the concept that the carpet is part of his den.
After I followed the program, when do I start letting my dog off leash?
Well, this is the hardest question to answer because it depends on how you've chosen to utilize this program. Regardless, the first step is to give your dog freedom from confinement during the day. If you are sure that your dog is able to wait until you let him out to go to the bathroom, let him stay in the same room as you as long as you like. Do not give freedom for the whole house for a couple of weeks. If your dog has completed the nighttime portion of the program successfully, let him sleep in a room with the door closed.
I've heard when a dog gets older, it starts making mistakes in certain rooms of the house.
Well, the most common mistake is to keep the dog out of that portion of the house. Remember how a dog thinks. The dog does not accept this part of the house as his den. You will need to prevent him from making a mistake in that room, but in order to teach him, he must sleep in that area for a few nights. Many times when a male dog enters adolescence, he will start lifting his leg and marking his territory. Let's treat this as a housebreaking problem. However, it could be an indication of a more complex situation.
If after working through this program the problem still exists, you may need to seek further assistance. You must immediately remove freedom and utilize the daytime preventative training program for several weeks. The final and most important question is, how do you know when your dog is housebroken? If you have 3 perfect weeks and your dog has made no mistakes at night and no mistakes during the day, I would say your dog is housebroken. We hope this video answers all of your questions on housebreaking. If you would like to contact us, please go to www.praisedogtraining.com.
Did you pee? Yeah. Oh God, don't pee on me. You didn't pee on me, did you?
Little spot. Hold on.